Zero Tolerance in the Educational Environment by Christina Furian. Zero tolerance is a behavior management system that is utilized in schools across the country and is especially used in situations where a weapon was involved. Zero tolerance policies are a set of rules and instruction on punishment of children without warning. Zero tolerance policies disregard accidents and mistakes and can even disregard mental conditions. Most common uses for zero tolerance policies focus on weapons and drug use. In the beginning, zero tolerance policies were created for the U.S. Customs Department for President Richard Nixon's war on drugs. By 1990, zero tolerance policies were being introduced into the schools as a way to keep school violence levels down. But as the schools were introducing zero tolerance, the U.S. Customs began to phase it out because of the severe treatment it offered drug dealers and abusers. By 1992, zero tolerance policies were completely phased out of the U.S. Customs Department. The Guns Free School Act was created in 1994 along with the Improving America Schools Act. The act entails several requirements for all public schools. For example, if a school received any federal funds, they must follow the zero tolerance policies included with the act. This act also requires students to be expelled for at least a year if they have a possession of a weapon. And students can be charged with a criminal or juvenile offense and put into the justice system. The act does conform to IDEA and can adjust the amount of time spent in expulsion, but there is still harsh punishment for students involved, including those with disabilities. The Guns Free School Act of 1994 gives a brief definition of a weapon. A weapon is defined as any item that is designed to expel a bullet and or explode. For example, a gun frame or silencer, a bomb, grenade, rocket or missile. It does exclude knives, some antique firearms, and fireworks. The ineffectiveness or effectiveness of zero tolerance policies is up for debate. There are schools that have seen its effectiveness and schools that have seen its tremendous decline in their schools' behavior, atmosphere, and attendance. Several schools claim zero tolerance is widening the achievement gap. With these policies, students can get into a heap of trouble. This can create a record for the students that could hinder college applications or military enrollment. Schools with these policies are finding they are plagued with more dropouts, and subsequently their graduation rates drop. Students are missing valuable learning hours and being made to be left home alone, or even worse, on the street. Another problem is that school officers are ending up being used as a disciplinary tool instead of a safety feature. The Council of State Government declared that when students are removed from the classroom as a disciplinary measure, the odds increase dramatically that they will repeat a grade, drop out, or become involved in the juvenile justice system. Zero tolerance may have begun as a law calling for expulsion for having a gun on school property, but has completely changed into a negative form of punishment that deals with bullying, drugs, alcohol, and any act of violence. Even with all the negative effects being seen in the schools nationwide, many schools are still incorporating the outdated policies. In 1997, more than 90% of schools held zero tolerance policies for firearms or other weapons. This graph shows other ways schools have used zero tolerance policies in the past. In active violence, 79% of schools in the United States implemented zero tolerance policies. When smoking tobacco was an issue, 79% of schools used zero tolerance. Alcohol and drug use were 87 and 88% respectively. This graph focuses on the 1997 school year. Now, schools across America are even using zero tolerance for tardies and truancy. There have been several court cases involved in the zero tolerance policies. Most, however, result in the favor of the schools. The U.S. Supreme Court has not officially accepted a case involving zero tolerance because of the way the law is formulated. According to the Kansas Bar Association, zero tolerance policies are born from state and federal laws that give school administrators little leeway in punishing students for behavior that is covered, such as bringing weapons to school, using drugs or alcohol, or making threats. In Spotsylvania County, a case did nearly make it to the Supreme Court. In Michael versus the School Board of Spotsylvania County, a freshman high school boy was charged with shooting small plastic pellets at a few students with an emptied-out pen. Students were not injured, and the student was said to be messing around during a break. In another case, Steele versus Morgan, a student was arrested because administrators found a knife in the student's glove box, but the knife didn't belong to the student. The student claimed it was a friend's, and he didn't even know it was there. There are hundreds of stories that share similar information. A student makes a mistake, big or small, then they are removed from the school immediately. The law requires due process for the students, but they are still removed from the schools for at least 10 days. If the schools rule a student guilty, the student is removed from the school for no less than 1 year. Baldwin Township District Judge David Barton said, in the 1960s, things like smoking in the boys' bathroom were dealt with by the vice principal. Now it's a criminal offense. Children involved in these cases are presumed guilty until proven otherwise, and that is just not how the legal foundation of our country works. Sure, these students have rights, but they are not always given them. District Judge Blaise Larotonda of Mount Lebanon holds mixed feelings about zero tolerance. He says, it limits your capability to handle each case individually, which is what you need to do. And as a judge, we do it all the time. Zero tolerance is a good concept because you have to send that message, but sometimes you just can't afford that limitation. Other than severe punishments zero tolerance policies offer, there are other problems. Multiple studies show that zero tolerance targets minorities, particularly African Americans. According to the Office of Civil Rights, the percentages of students that face suspensions are African American, both males and females, followed by American Indians, Hispanics, whites, and Asian or Pacific Islanders. Apex High School, located in a North Carolina suburb, is one such school that shows this discrimination. At the school, 73.6% of the student populations are white, and 7.8% are black. However, the percentages of blacks receiving in-school suspension is almost 10 times the percentage of whites. There has also been shown to be discrimination of students with disabilities and age. Or rather, there is a lack of discrimination when it comes to a student's age. There is no separation for high school students or kindergartners. Projects trying to implement over the zero tolerance policies. One such project, as pictured, is the Time Capsule Project that is being done in many Dallas schools. This project incorporates students writing letters to themselves for the future. The letters are then placed in a vault located in the school's lobby. Then the letters are mailed to the students sometime after graduation, usually about 10 years. The idea behind this project is that students see the letters each day as they head to and from class. The director says that the hope is that students will think about these letters and their futures on occasion when they see the vault. Since starting this project, the school has seen a dramatic increase in their school's graduation rates and a decrease in the amount of students dropping out of school. The California Endowment is a nonprofit organization that is promoting alternative options to zero tolerance policies. Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, or PBIS, is a type of program that offers support for students with positive behaviors. The program reinforces positive behaviors while negative behaviors are not rewarded. Restorative justice allows students to make restitution, and community service is a way for students to do the same. Counseling allows for students to express themselves in a safe environment and get treatment for anything that may hinder them in their educational process. Many schools have found a combination of PBIS, community service, counseling, and when appropriate, restorative justice to create a positive way for students to right their wrongs. Zero-tolerance policies are a hot topic in the educational field. Nearly every week, a new story is in the news regarding a student's collision with a policy. The New York Times wrote an article in 2013 depicting the negative aspect of a zero-tolerance policy. The article received various letters to the editor, including one from author Robert Ricken. He wrote, "Love me when I'm unlovable." Ricken believes that all students should have zero tolerance for a host of disciplinary infractions, like bullying, bringing drugs or weapons to school, fighting, cheating, and truancy. The Blaze, an online reporting magazine, reported about two 7-year-old students playing Marines while using their pencils as guns. One student's father was a Marine who just got back from a tour. The students were suspended for imitating a career of a parent. In other careers, we praise our students for their abilities and imagination, but in this case, there was no praise, only suspension for the two. In Virginia, a student took a knife from his friend after she threatened suicide. The knife was found later that day in the surprise locker inspection. The student was suspended even after the story was reported to authorities. In North Carolina, a 6-year-old student was suspended for kissing his classmate. The kiss went against the school's unwarranted and unwelcome touching policy. Many believe that zero-tolerance policies are taking away a teacher's ability to take care of minor behavior incidents in a simple way. There has been a recharacterization of student behavior. Suddenly, pushing has become battery, losing a library book has become theft or robbery, and talking back has become disorderly conduct. Something has to be done with the laws to protect students, but allow for mistakes to happen. There is nobody on this planet who is perfect, so we shouldn't make our kids feel like they have to be.